Alright, take three. Once again, this is Zeri, Persian pen name on AO3. Hopefully not to get interrupted again. I'm in week 32, 33 of my transition. My voice is definitely changing. I'm not doing anything special with it tonight. This week has been fairly busy. One of the regulars where I work has a line-in on a job that would start at not twice what I make now, but like 1.5, 1 3/4, something like that. It wouldn't start until October, so I'm not gonna count on it until I've got a paycheck in hand. But that is a thing that's happened, and he's come and verified with me about it. He's like, yeah, my friend is doing, a business thing. This is his starting rate. This is when he'd be able to start. He's looking for somebody who's, competent and knows what they're doing. Which, is me. I've been doing this for like a decade. So that's going on, and that would be nice if we get that going. It would be, God, like an extra $1,000 a month, which ain't nothing to scoff at, let me tell you. Let's see. Also, Trixie Pup had to go to the vet. Tuesday she started feeling bad. She was clearly in pain, like she was yelping and wouldn't get off the bed, didn't want to drink water, like she didn't want to do anything that required moving. And like she would start falling asleep and then, fall over, get pain, wake up. So that was no good. We got her in to the vet first thing in the morning. They didn't have any appointments left, but this is not the local vet who is in, the little town that we live in, because they're good for cows. If you have cows, they're fantastic. Small animals, less so. So we took her up into the big town that's about an hour away, and took her to the vet that we used to visit whenever we lived there, which is where we take all of our pets. And so they were like, hey, just drop her off in the morning. We'll work her in around other stuff. Like if people are late or cancel or what have you, she'll be right here and we can just take care of her. They did blood work and x-rays, and her blood work looks fantastic, which is great because she's gotta be like 12 now? 11 or 12? We've had her for over 10 years. I think over 11 years. And to think she was like a year when we found her, or somewhere around there. But it looks like her vertebrae are a little bit just too close together right now, and so she's getting some back pain. She's an older lady. So she's got pain relievers and anti-inflammatories, and she's been taking those like a champ, which is really nice. It's liquid medicine, so it's just easy to squirt it in there, and there she goes. So she got her first dose of that yesterday, and another dose this morning, and she appears to be back to normal, but, we're gonna keep doing it until they tell us to stop, or we run out. But yeah, so she's doing much better, and that's really great. Today is the release of Good Omens Season 2, so I'm very excited for that. That'll be just under 3 hours. I'm very excited for that. Like, y'all don't even know. I'm making sure I get all of this done so that I have nothing else on my schedule for tonight. I think that's all I can. It's been going... Oh! I did finish plying the second quarter of that green fiber. So the third and fourth bobbins got plied together. I've now got about 1,400 yards of that. I still need to skein it up and wet finish it. And I might honestly skein up the first ball as well. And like, I think a little bit more dye might come out if I give it another soak. So I might just do that with all of them. Or I could just wait until I have all of it and just give it all soaks together. I don't know. Anyway, I've got a lot of it. I started up some more spinning. Just, just keep working on it. Since I've got half of it done already. I have no idea what I'm going to make with that. Not even a little bit. I'll probably play around with... One of the things I like on Metabang Paint is I can set radial symmetry, so I'll just put 2 lines of bilateral symmetry and then just, play around with one quadrant and be able to make some shawl designs until I find something I like. So that works out well. So I'm going to be keeping it fairly short tonight, since honestly I don't know if I can keep up a whole lot of attention right now. And also, as this is take 3, I've already been interrupted twice by my mother-in-law, so I want to make sure that I can get this done. So tonight we will be reading a story by Einsteinapproved. It's titled Onward to the Edge, Where We Are Going. It's original work. It's some humans are space orcs. Earth is space Australia. It's got Stabby the Roomba. Everybody loves those. So it's only like 1,600 words, so that shouldn't be so bad. So do. So, alright, let's get this going. There are a few things that every single being in the Intergalactic Alliance knows. Like, if you need a lawyer, you go to a human. If whatever you plan to do is close to impossible, you go to a human. If you're expecting to be outnumbered, you go to a human. They're resistant beings from a planet where everything is designed to kill them, famous for bonding with everything and everyone. TDC doesn't particularly like this, but Z recognizes its validity. Z also recognizes that their hesitation definitely has speciest elements in it, so Z tries to absorb that thought and hires a human to work with their team on the Danilis the next time a space opens up. One has to work against one's prejudices, after all. The human in question is someone young, as far as T-Ray understands. The Onyal's system of age is different. 25 Terran years translates to 43 Galactic Standard years. 43! By that time, most Onyal would be considering retirement. T-Ray by comparison, is 20 Galactic Standard years. So, roughly 11 Terran years, but almost halfway through your life already, as opposed to the 9th or so a human is. Z is far from excellent in the adjustment between relative ages for species other than your planet's own native sentient ones. That is, the Arnyal, of course, and the Zumuks, who are taller and have scales instead of the fur that protects the Arnyal's skin. So there is a chance Z has this whole thing down wrong. But Z had checked the calculations as many times as Z had appendages and figures Z's unlikely to make the mistake 9 times in a row. The time of the human's arrival on deck comes around before T-Ray has prepared herself completely for it. It sneaks up on Zir. Far in the future one cycle, one resting phase later, it is time to land on Kelav, the designated place to pick up new crew for a good majority of ships in the Intergalactic Alliance. T-Ray has decided to welcome the human to the ship alone. They will be able to bond with the rest of the crew in their bunks or during mealtimes easily enough, T-Ray figures. In this way, there's at least a chance that the crew will remain unaware of their freakout. It's pretty much guaranteed to happen, but there's a chance that Z will manage to show no outward signs of it. T-Ray makes their way to the docking area, with two of their arms fidgeting nervously. Z can do this. The human enters, and the first thing T-Ray notices is the way the human shows their teeth. Z has read enough to know that it is not intended as a threat, but may the great provider OPAC hears her, it still feels like one. T-Ray flicks her antenna to calm herself, and begins the conversation by assuring herself that their respective translators can decipher the other's language. After all, anything else would be pointless if they were unable to understand each other. Once that is all checked out, T-Ray starts their welcome speech. The human is already wearing a uniform with a name tag, so Z can address them by name. Welcome, human Daphne Morris. I am Anya T-Ray C, the captain of the Daedalus. The human holds up an appendage to interrupt. Pardon me, but did you just say your name is Tracy? It's close enough, T-Ray decides. After all, it is known that some species are unable to produce some of the sounds found in other species' names based on a purely biological level. I'm not going to settle for close enough this soon, human Daphne announced, head held high. I was raised better than that. I will pronounce the name you want me to call you correctly, if my vocal cords can manage it, Captain. I was simply caught off guard by how similar it is to one of Earth's names. I haven't come across any case before. Please, continue. The first order of business is to double-check the correct pronoun. In the file I have received, your pronoun was listed as she/her. Is that correct? Yes, Captain. And yours are? T-Ray informs her about the correct one, and human Daphne moves her head up and down. Thankfully, it is accompanied by a verbal reply as well, because otherwise Z would have had to guess the gesture's meaning. T-Ray goes over the general rules of the ship, and the expectations specifically for human Daphne as a medical professional. It's been around 5 human generations since they joined the Intergalactic Alliance, so the question if human Daphne is familiar with the species present on the ship is mostly for protocol. Nevertheless, T-Ray is relieved when human Daphne assures her that she knows how to treat everyone up to Alliance standards. That is, with the help of a minimum of 2 colleagues at her side, for a crew with their number of species in it, as no one being could be expected to memorize the physicals of every single species. The conversation goes over better than T-Ray had expected, and gives Seer hope that this will all work out well in the end. T-Ray is incredibly glad Z can simply follow the established guidelines to figure out a human's diet, as figuring out such a thing is a hassle and a half. Luckily, between the previous 9 species found on the Daedalus, almost all of human Daphne's nutritional requirements have been met, thus avoiding having to overhaul the kitchen systems like the time the first carnivore joined the crew. No one wants a repetition of this. The kitchen crew had been informed of the necessary requirements, and they had been logged into the ship's systems as well to double-check that everyone's needs could be covered by the food of the day. On the first day the 2 of them were in the cafeteria together, human Daphne surprised T-Ray by pulling out small portions of the Terran-style food on her plate, mashed potatoes, if the sign is correct, and looking at all the other dishes offered as well. What is this, Captain? I haven't seen this dish before." She was gesturing to polukatan, a traditional dish of the Onward, which T-Ray promptly informs her of. Human Daphne pushes a few buttons on her watch and shows her teeth at the result. "Ooh, it's not poisonous for me," she comments, as she loads some onto her plate. T-Ray has to approve of that one, Z thinks, as he fills their own plate with the dish. Human Daphne doesn't stop there. She heads over to the section of the carnivores as well, points at another dish, and repeats the question. "This is Astony. I have read that it tastes like the chicken native to Terra," T-Ray adds. Really? Well, then I have to try it. Between the mashed potatoes, the polucatan, and the astone, human Daphne seems to be satisfied and heads to the seating area. And T-Ray is just curious enough of her reaction to the polucatan to join her. Daphne tries the astone first. Don't believe everything you read, human Daphne responds after swallowing the first. This tastes nothing like chicken. Reminds me more of the udwa from, what was it, Linuken? I think that's where the udwa is from anyway. T-Ray assures her that there's an alternative if she so desires, but Daphne interrupts her. Oh, it's not bad at all. The texture is rather like chicken, which is where Pardon. The texture is rather like chicken, which is where I assume the confusion came from. That, or the annoying tendency of some humans to say that everything tastes like chicken. That does sound annoying, T-Ray has to agree. It is. Nevertheless, the astone actually goes surprisingly well with the potatoes. Hadn't expected that, honestly. So why take both onto your plate? A beat passes, as if human Daphne is debating whether or not to answer. Mismatched flavors remind me of my family. I understand that humans share close bonds with one another. It must be hard being so far away. T-Ray surprises herself with the thought as he expresses it. My family was rather distant by human standards, but I still miss them, you know? But I'll get used to it quickly. I know I did in college, and I did study off-planet, so I know what I'm talking about. Where did you study? T-Ray asks. Somewhat to keep the conversation going, but somewhat because Z's actually starting to get curious about the human. On Batem. Gotta say, I miss the Sergeant Stabby that was deployed there. This one didn't just have the knife like most Roombas do, but also googly eyes. The little angle poker poked his way right into my heart. I studied on Batem as well. What are the chances of that? Given the size of the universe? I'd say they're pretty low. There's 20 education-focused planets in this sector alone, after all. This is the first time I came across another Batem graduate, T-Ray admits between bites. I was doing engineering, specifically. So did I! You must remember Sergeant Stabby's eyes as well, surely. I don't. Maybe the eyes were added after I left. What kind of eyes were they? Luxan? Xenox? They continue to reminisce about their time on Batem, until both of them have finished their lunch and it is time to return to their duties. As he does so, Z realizes that Z just bonded with human Daphne. Or at least, Z is pretty sure Z did. The end. So, as I said, this is a short one. I do like it very much. I need to read more. I need to read more things that have different pronouns so I can practice with them. There we go. Updating the bookmark to already read. I've thought about changing mine around, mostly because it would be very funny to be named Zeri and have Zer pronouns. But if I'm just doing it for the jokes, that's fine. Right now I'm still sticking with she, her. I have been getting called Sir a lot at work, which is great. So, I like that a lot. I also like he, him, it's all good. They, them doesn't seem to quite fit me, so I haven't been, using those. But yeah, so that's this week's story. I liked it a lot. I'm excited for later today. I hope that everyone out there, I think it's also, I think today is also when the second half of Season 3 of The Witcher comes out, so maybe I'll watch some of that until it's time for Good Omens. Or maybe I'll just keep that one for tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, though, I hope that you all have a lovely afternoon. Have a good week. Make good trouble. Be safe. And I'll see you next week.